This wooden soccer ball puzzle used to be sold without a packaging. However, one condition forced the change. What condition forced the change? See you after the opening, and you are watching episode 4 of The Prototype. Hello, I'm Satoko, the founder of 𝙃𝙤𝙞𝙣𝙩𝙨 Japan. I connect handicraft artisan work enthusiasts to our local heritage craft artisans in Shikoku, Japan. The Prototype is our YouTube series to inspire you to design your next artisan-made products by introducing the birth stories of our collaborating artisans' products with modern twists. Let's begin. When you consider designing your products to be made by our collaborating heritage craft artisans and you want to sell the products, the packaging is something that you also need to think about. So, in this episode, I'll share packaging journey that this wooden puzzle took. The conditions and status of selling products can constantly change. I'd like to share 3 factor changes that happened to this product. 1. How to sell the product changed. 2. Visibility and saving store shelf space were required. 3. Customer's choice changed. Before I discuss the first factor change, I recommend that you watch the previous episode of The Prototype if you haven't. It tells the story of how this wooden soccer ball puzzle started. I'll put the link in the description. Now, let's begin. 1. How to sell changed. This puzzle was originally made to sell at an event to showcase different types of craftsmanship in the area, before Mr. Morimoto married. It didn't have any packaging back then. Then, what changed? Technically, Mrs. Morimoto happened to Mr. Morimoto. Since they got married, Mrs. Morimoto has been Mr. Morimoto's biggest cheerleader. She saw the potential in the puzzles and grabbed an opportunity to sell them at shops. Now, they needed a package and instructions. Mr. Morimoto sold the puzzles face-to-face, hand-to-hand to customers, so he didn't need packaging or instruction. Mr. Morimoto explained and demonstrated how to play with the puzzles before his customer bought them. But if Mr. and Mrs. Morimoto wanted to sell them at shops, Mr. Morimoto wouldn't be able to explain how to play with them directly to the customers. So, attaching an instruction sheet became a necessity. If they need to attach an instruction sheet, they need something to bind the product and instruction sheet together, the packaging. This reminds us that packaging is not a necessity. It depends on how you want to sell your product. And the prototype of the packaging and instruction was this. According to Mrs. Morimoto, she picked this box to represent a soccer field. 2. Visibility and saving store shelf space were required. The first packaging had 2 problems. 1. People cannot see what's in the box. 2. The box is too big that shops couldn't stock as many as they wanted. So, Mrs. Morimoto started searching for visible packaging. She found this plastic tube-type box that magically fits the puzzle pieces. The package maker produces this as a box for cakes. I'm always amazed by Mrs. Morimoto's flexible mind. This change tells us to consider the retail shop shelf space and whether or how much you want the product to be visible or not when planning your packages. And the second version became like this. 3. Customer's choice changed. This change was a bit dramatic and traumatic to Morimoto's and me. Some time had passed since I started working with Morimoto's as their outsourcing graphic designer when Mrs. Morimoto called me half panicking. Her friend who works in a souvenir shop in Kyoto told Mrs. Morimoto that international tourists have started avoiding products made from plastic. And establishments like cold drink stands are having trouble selling their products. This trend has also begun to affect the types of items she sells at her shop. The items with plastic packaging became less likely to sell. She ended the conversation by warning Mrs. Morimoto to be prepared for the rise of non-plastic packaging era. You may think I'm exaggerating the story, but this is what I heard from Mrs. Morimoto, and I understood why she was freaking out about it. Not just because it was the beginning stage of Mrs. Morimoto's aim to go international, but also because one of the longest and best-selling items Mr. Morimoto produces is the puzzle. Its packaging is plastic written all over it. So, I was assigned to design a new package for the puzzle. The conditions Mrs. Morimoto gave me were a package made of paper, maintain the slimness of the current package. The inside has to be visible without using plastic. Multilingual packaging, English and Japanese. On top of her request, I added the following conditions. The package doesn't require a sticker to close it. Durable shape for shipping. The shape that can fit as many units as possible in the outer carton. Print the instructions on the surface. I'm not going to my design process here, but if you'd like to know more, please type design process into the comments. If I see the comment, I'll create a video about it. Now, for me, the design part was hard, but the cost of the packaging was traumatic for Morimoto's. By now, you realize that our collaborating artisans are not suitable for mass production. So, they had to decide which road to take. 1. Order a small quantity of the package and raise the puzzle price. 2. Order the package in bulk and minimize the product price increases. As you know, the more quantities you order for printing items, the lower the per unit price, but the total price is not low. This is a difficult decision for any small business owner, even with enough budget. Mr. Morimoto chose the latter option, order the package in bulk and minimize the product price increases. This change tells us two things. Consider what your package wants to tell your customer about your product, including what to print on it and what materials to use. Your budget and packaging cost directly affect your product unit price. And the current packaging is this. Now, let's recap. Today, I talked about the things you want to consider when designing artisan-made products for sale, packaging. From 3 package changes for Mr. Morimoto's wooden soccer ball puzzle, we saw 5 points to think about. 1. Packaging is not a necessity. It depends on how you want to sell your product. 2. For the packaging size, considering the retail shop shelf space is one way. 3. Would your products and customers benefit from showing inside the package, or the product photos would do? 4. The material of the package could send a specific message to certain people. 5. If possible, try to plan packaging at an earlier stage of product development. The price of packaging will directly affect the price of the final product unit. I have to mention one more thing. The current puzzle package is created from scratch to make the original one, but it only happened once, just for the wooden soccer ball puzzle. Usually, Mrs. Morimoto and I are very creative about keeping packaging cost as low as possible so that Mr. Morimoto's products stay as accessible as possible. So, please remember that when it comes your turn to develop your artisan-made product with us, I can help you with the packaging ideas, especially if you are new to package planning. But please also remember to hire your local providers and producers for actual package production to support your local economy. Here is one tip. Repurpose existing standardized boxes and packaging materials. Package manufacturers usually produce fixed-sized items, which you can buy inexpensively in small quantities. Remember, Mrs. Morimoto used a package meant for cakes. Depending on how you use it, what you print on it or wrap with it makes the whole difference. That's all for this episode. If you have an idea for your next artisan-made product, book a Zoom call with me from our website. The link is in the description. Thank you for watching till the end and see you next time. The collaborating artisans are excited about the idea of producing bespoke items, something new and unique. Once you have an idea, let me know. I'll be happy to coordinate your production. So stay connected by following me on Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. For a more direct connection, join Misenoma membership. I'll leave the links in the description. That's all for this episode. Your support gets me going, so if you like this episode or want to let me know you've just listened to it, please like it or leave a comment wherever you are listening. Thank you for your support and listening. See you next time!